This is the talk of Music City real estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monty Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at thetalkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com.
Money, money, money.
And Jason Hoover's in the house. Thank you, Jason, for joining us today. Love your smile, brother. Love your heart. Love your determination to raise the bar in real estate. You know,
he does.
A great question that Jason was asking me earlier. What do you think you feel is the bigger problem that our local real estate market faces? Number one, rising prices, or number two, lack of inventory?
That's a good question.
Let's chat about that. Okay, before we do, let's talk about our awesome sponsor, Music City Removal.
Yes, Music City Removal. They are the #1 junk removal service in Nashville. From residential, commercial, and construction, they're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute.
No, it ain't. But you're looking cute today, Carey Ann, and full of wisdom and knowledge and all exciting things about mortgages and real estate.
Yes. So let's go back to that question. What was that question again you had?
The question is, what do you feel is the bigger problem that our local market here in Middle Tennessee faces? Rising prices or lack of inventory?
I mean, it's crazy to think what the average price point is in Williamson County, and even in all the other counties. When I moved to Franklin, I bought my house for $205,000 and $200 or something like that.
That's probably $500,000. Or how long ago was that? 15 years ago?
Yeah, but it is right up there, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, just to think
crazy
about it, what it used to be and where we are today, it's quite amazing.
Well, and it's like that one that you sold my parents.
Yeah.
It was $282.
Yeah.
And now, I was looking up, just doing some rough comps on it. I mean, it could easily do $465 plus.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say closer to 500 probably, but
it probably could. I did it really quick.
Yeah, Forest Crossing is a great neighborhood.
Yeah.
As we know.
Yeah. And to think back, I doubt there's anything different in the home that I bought, It just was a box, the look and feel of it was just really,
box home.
It was, just remember, it was just a regular home. And
so
it was great.
Interesting stat I saw was that listings are down 40% for the month of December year over year.
Wow.
Down 40%, and buyers are up. I can't remember exactly how much, but they were up like 20-30%. So that is putting pressure on our area. And I didn't at first I was like, man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's strong. But here's the thing. I was doing some working with this program where we're actually going to be nurturing more, and we're just looking at some different areas, and it was pulling in different you could plug in the different communities, and it would pull in what are the listings, and I thought it was wrong because Ladd Park, they only had 3 active listing, or no, 0. West Haven was 3.
Wow.
And I was like, no, that's totally wrong. But we went on there and looked, and I was like, wow, yeah, they're all under contract.
Yeah.
Oh, because they go that fast?
Well, there's a lot under contract. So, this was only pulling active listings.
Sure.
Right.
And so I was like, wow, that stat is very true.
Close to it. Yeah. Wow.
Well, what I think one of the things that feeds that reality of the short inventory is the fact that there's plenty of people I think that would sell, but they don't know where they're going to go. I mean, that's the challenge out there. And I try to encourage some of our clients, look, let's go ahead and sell your home so that's out of the way. And then we, go in temporary housing, and then we'll be ready to pounce. But that's sometimes easier said than done because people don't like moving twice.
I'm not moving twice.
Yeah. Oh, I hope
I'm
to
actually
never
never
move
moving.
again.
Yeah, I'm never moving again. Just for the
But
record.
you've got the perfect place, man. You've got Air BNBs where you're at.
Oh, I
and
know.
it's just a beautiful thing. Yeah, is your mortgage payment basically being paid for you?
Oh, we're making money living there. I'm not kidding you.
God.
That's cool.
Our
I
mortgage
should've-
payment is covered, and then
I wish I'd had your realtor.
right.
You know,
But yeah, that's the funny thing is that we moved from where we were, and not only did it, was it even? Is like literally we're being paid to live there.
And that's because you have a side house that you can rent.
Yeah.
See, and again, do you for you, right? I'd be
Yeah.
like, I don't want anybody anywhere near
But
me.
it's so easy. They have their code access. I mean, everything is set up. I'm big on systems, right?
Yeah.
Everything is processed. And
you haven't been to his house yet, have you?
No.
Oh, you
Yeah.
need to check it out. You need
we
to
never
check it
meet
out.
them. We
Wow.
don't see them.
It's all on
Wow.
autopilot.
And why are they staying there?
It's short term. They come to visit. Some come to visit Franklin. Some
I see.
We had newlyweds the other day.
You're kidding.
and
Isn't
we
that
had-
interesting?
We had one that was here for medical treatment. I mean, so it's just a wide array of.
They'd rather do that than a hotel, I guess. Is that
Yeah.
the deal?
Well, it's cheaper than a hotel.
Cheaper in a hotel? Yeah.
And possibly, safer. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're thinking COVID, if it's just them too, from a standpoint of,
Right.
of all of
For
that.
what?
Quiet,
I'm just
quiet
kidding.
down, quiet down, quiet down.
Do you think
So,
that there's a phenomenon though that's happening in the market where, like what you're saying, Monty, why would I sell? Because I don't know where I'm going to go. But also the influx of people moving to the market. So is that kind of stifling things too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Well,
momentum to the area is keeping us from seeing any sort of hesitation in the market because honestly, it really surprises me when you consider what that C word has done to every economy as far as people not working. My experience of 37 years would say, okay, everybody, look, hang on to your shorts. There's got to be a bump coming up here because you can't take that many people, put them in a barely employed position. And all the ramifications, of course, everybody got their $600 check. So now I guess we're all okay. And I'm just kidding. But my point is, if it wasn't for the influx of people coming to Middle Tennessee, I definitely think we'd see a drop. But I think that we have been fortunate to be in Middle Tennessee that we're seeing this continual flow in because there was so much momentum happening before all the stuff happened last year, as far as the distraction. That I think we're okay, and again I think it's all comes to price point. It's all moved by price point, so that in other words, if you got a 250 to 350 range, it doesn't matter what's going on in the marketplace. Yeah. If you got a 6 to 7 or 8, that's another story. I think there's more competition there because there's fewer people that can afford that higher range.
And that's the thing is that, we bought our house for like $240 back in 2005, and now it's worth like $2.5 million. And I don't know where I would go. So
yeah, for 2.5, but we can set you up for 2.5, brother.
I mean, to think that my neighbors, I didn't even know their house was on the market. And they sold, literally, it just went on the market and it was off the market in hours. And somebody paid cash and closed in 7 days. And guess what? The nice neighbor that I am, because you're all about making sure that you're friends with all the specific neighbors. So I do pick.
Except when you make fun of somebody's.
So she doesn't wave at me.
Halloween stuff.
She doesn't wave at me. She doesn't do Halloween. Like, it's bah humbug. It's fine. You still have a skeleton up. It's okay. She took it down, by the way. It's gone right after.
Well, I guess so. All that pressure. People going by and giving it the snake eye, probably.
Oh my gosh. I did not know that I did
saw,
that.
Doing pickets out there.
Oh my goodness. It's terrible. However, guess where that client came from? Because they sent me a thank you note and did their previous address on the thank you note. Guess where they're from?
Uh-oh.
California.
California. Yeah.
it says everything.
So and the other day I took 3 applications in a row, and they're all from California.
Yeah. A
So
lot of
it's
people
a lot
come
of
from
people.
California. I don't know what's kept them there that long, and now I hear they're going to get taxed for bailing. A bailing tax.
Is that
or
crazy?
something.
But what they can get here, in what we weren't used to those prices, right? And so that has allowed that
has actually hurt the local person that's not owning something because they can't. And even the people that they're selling their home, they couldn't afford to buy it at that price.
And that's there's good and bad on that. But yes, that is the bad, is that it's pushing people, because we're the music industry. We've got a lot of the business.
Sure.
And so those people are being pushed further and further away from the the core, the central part of Music USA. That's why you have these outlining places that are starting to boom because of that very reason.
That's the only thing that's the only choice they really have is if they're going to sell now and stay in Middle Tennessee, then they've got to go out in the country to have a reason to sell, I think, in most cases, unless they're sizing down, unless they're going from big to smaller. That's going to feel like a lateral move. We live over in Brent Mead, and great neighborhood, older neighborhood, built in the 80s, and pretty substantial neighborhood, big lots and all that. Well, this adjoining neighborhood, right just 2 blocks away from our house, there's these 1970s bi-level homes that should be worth maybe 350, 400,000 max. Okay, they're just 1970s, 3,000 square foot bi-levels. They're ugly. I'm sorry. They're just not really attractive homes. Okay.
How do you really feel?
I mean, they're just, anyway. Well, the reason I say that, I used to own one.
Anybody listening and you want to sell in that area, I would be glad to help you. I think they're gorgeous.
I don't mean that personally. I just mean, well, my point is 2 of them within a house apart, so that should have sold for like 400, something like that. The people flipped them. They paid for something for them, okay? And they both sold for one at $867, one at $850, 55. Okay, we're talking about, again, 1970s. I don't care how much lipstick you put on a certain animal. It's still that certain animal,
Are they buying it for the land?
No, it's an acre lot. They're buying it for the location, I'm sure.
Location, yeah.
But how in the world are they ever going to be able to sell? It's got a 2-car garage, it's 3,000 square feet, and paying $867. Yeah. I don't care what you do to the inside of the house. It makes no sense. So what happens then? I mean, I would like to talk to an appraiser, because now the last one that sold, it's even closer to us. Sold for, again, a 1970s something. Now, this was on a double lot, so I get there's going to be a little bit of premium. They put it on the market. I walk past it all the time when I walk, and I'm thinking, okay, that home's, it's our neighborhood. I mean, it's right next to our neighborhood. You're going to guess, okay, it's probably worth about, well, since that sold for $850, it's still a 1970s home. Okay, so let's say $875. They put it on the market for $960. And it sold within a week for $960,000. Wow. Now, how in the world is it appraised? But here's something else. I mean, this is a little off that, but it's another thing that's driving factors, okay? Yesterday, one of our agents called me and wanted to know about Open Door. And I said, you don't want to go Open Door. Open Door's, I would say sucks, but I can't say that on air, so I won't say sucks. But anyhow, they're a real challenge, okay?
It's in rare form today.
They're not good for the realtor, okay? I don't think they're good for the realtor. That's my personal opinion. I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but here's my point. He didn't discourage them from going with Open Door, because he said that Open Door was paying more than what the home was worth. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? What's going on here? He goes, well, in this case, what they're doing is they're paying a premium, and then they're getting a larger fee back.
You're kidding?
No, so that they can sell the house then and not show any capital gains. Even if they take a little bit of loss, it'll make their numbers look good, because now instead of charging, 10% or whatever their holding fees are and all that kind of stuff, now they're charging like 20%. I mean, think about that. It's almost like money laundering almost, because they're writing a check for it.
Yep.
It would never appraise.
Right.
I mean, I think people need to be aware of that, because I don't know what kind of ramifications that's going to have to the marketplace. They're literally shuffling money legally because they are jacking the price up, writing a check for it, and then so they can sell it and show a loss. I think is what they're doing. I don't know.
Isn't that kind of like you buying a used car, and on the title you say I bought it for like $100, and so you don't have to pay taxes on that?
It's similar, I think. I mean, a lot of times people think, well, there's no way.
No, I have not done that. I just know people that do.
There's, people have questioned, well, they didn't make any money because they bought it like that one I sold, a while back. They paid $287 for it. They sold it for, $287. Right. They sold it for $305. There wasn't that big of a gap. What people don't realize, because it doesn't show on the tax records, that they really paid $287 minus $11,000 carrying charge, minus another $11,500 repair charge, which they didn't do any of the repairs. So all that money is hidden.
Right.
Now they're adding to their little profit scheme, and that is jacking the price up, writing a check for it, and then and increasing their numbers.
Someone's got to catch that later.
Yeah, that's
don't
what I
you
was
think?
thinking.
I mean, it's going to have to be eventually catched. I mean, every trick in the book from the mortgage standpoint, Fannie and Freddie's figured out, and they
it
have
is a public company.
written those down
well,
there.
how does? I mean, that's what I'd like to talk to an appraiser about.
Let me tell
that.
you, appraisals are not coming in.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
that's
the
my
last
point.
two I did, they didn't come in, and guess what? The seller, I want my price,
Right.
and buyer says, I want my house. And so then they end up paying. And again, some people have the extra money. Other
Yep.
people, it just falls apart and, then they're reselling it. But again, an FHA appraisal stuck for 6 months, you can possibly reorder. But we're seeing a lot of appraisals coming in low. I had one recently. And the agent got, they weren't so happy and said the appraiser was wrong and they should have gone 5 miles out more north, and so it's hard to say like cherry pick your comps. You can't do that either, right?
No, that's what we stopped doing.
Yeah.
We used to do that.
Yeah. And so it's hard where you're supposed to just go off of the lottery. This is who we're working with. I don't know them. You don't know them, and we are hopeful that they're going to do the right job, but they're not all coming in at price at all.
No, I
right?
know.
So back to the question, inventory or price, and I guess all this is saying, this is why I say, it's the inventory is the bigger problem, because price, people are going to find a way to pay it.
Sure.
Or
Rates are low.
they're going to eventually come down. Inventory, if there's just no inventory, we've got nowhere to go. And
Right.
it's,
And that's when all of this land that's been being held then goes on the market.
Well, that's why so many
how
people are
have
biting
the
the bullet and
land
going to new construction too, though. That's one of the more common things.
Say it again.
How have the land prices been? Just vacant land.
Expensive.
Yeah, I mean, they're
expensive.
There's farms that have been holding out for a while.
Right.
They're now starting to say, okay, well, yeah, I'll take it.
Because we're looking for a farm and they're up there.
Well, that's the thing is if I'm a realtor and I want to try, solve that problem to the question of where do you go? Well, okay, why don't we actually wait out the market and put yourself on buy a piece of land, put a fifth wheel on it, and you'll be able to live in a fifth wheel for a year or two until the market figures itself out. I mean, is that something that some realtors think outside the box?
I think it's not a bad idea.
Who's living in a fifth wheel?
Just, a family or whatever. They're big enough. They're very large.
I think it's
I'm
not
just
a
saying,
nice.
some people don't want to do,
they don't.
do that.
I mean, yeah.
Other smart choices, because you're right. Where are they going to go?
Yeah.
A lot of the investors out there, you start to think, hey, I want to invest. What should I invest in? Well, possibly land on the outskirts, because eventually growth.
The outskirts
possibly
will be the inskirts, right?
Yeah, eventually the growth will go there. Talking about values, et cetera. I don't know if you realize that this little area over here in Franklin near what's the high school?
Centennial.
I was like Center Hill, Lord. Centennial. Do you know that whole little block over there? The values of the land are worth more than 50% of the purchase price, and you cannot get a first-time home buyer loan over there. Isn't that interesting? Because that area, the land is worth so much. So that whole section, that little corner pocket over there, people are buying. Literally, the land is worth so much over there. It's crazy.
Wow.
So their houses are just increased due to the land. But again, you forget that the land to house ratio has to be a certain amount per the types of loans that you're looking to get.
Yeah.
So THDA has a cap that you can't go over a certain dollar figure, and that whole little section over there makes it
It'd be
difficult.
perfect for it, but it can't.
Yeah, it makes it difficult for us. So it's interesting, to learn more about values, and my thinking is, these rates are so low. I love to give you this low interest rate. Why would you ever move? Like in my mind, I'm thinking the rates have to shift, because if everybody gets an interest rate of 2.5 or whatever the rate is, and again, it's variable due to credit score program, et cetera, under 3, let's just say, and then all of a sudden the market does get back to what should be normal. And we haven't even lived in normal times, I don't think, for so long.
Right.
Let's say 4.5, I mean, I had an interest rate of 6% and I thought that was a good rate, for a really long time.
That was great rate.
What if rates changed back? Why would you make a shift? I mean, the price of your payment on your house will go up so much, and you just hope that the equity in your house is enough to offset it by you putting it down, as a down payment. But
Right.
I always wonder about that. Thoughts?
All I know is I can't believe my favorite mortgage person allowed me to refinance at 3.5%.
Oh my gosh.
When she knew for sure it was going to be coming down to 2.5%. Tim, what do you?
You know, I mean, I can't disagree with it.
I have a magic wand.
I mean, it was
a ball.
one of the most fabulous experiences of my life, though. So I have to give her that. So
What's
There
that?
you go.
Your refinance?
my refinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but I have a higher interest rate, and I haven't refinanced either. So
You've been refinancing everyone else.
yeah, and actually, I'm really proud of my numbers. I
house
didn't
is never
refinance
fixed.
everybody because I was under 20%. I'm really proud of that number. 80% of all the families that we helped, over 80% were purchase transactions. That's a big number.
That's a big deal. You know,
Because
so
we
many,
focus on helping people gain home ownership. And
That-
I'd love to help people refinance. But again, I'm here talking to real estate agents and want you to know that I don't focus just on refinances.
Well, and that's so much wiser because so many times mortgage professionals or mortgage people anyhow get caught in the ease of refis. And let's say it goes on for 6 months and all of a sudden it stops. And now what do? They're basically starting over again.
Yeah, and we're talking about the shift, there will be a shift.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a time. I train loan officers on making sure your numbers are 80% higher.
Mm-hmm.
There are some folks out there that are 80%, refinance.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if the market does shift, what business do you have?
It's easy, or to walking downhill, that's for sure. But what happens when you get into a place where you're trying to we talked just briefly, but that probably, I'm guessing 60, 70, maybe even higher percent of that of the local real estate professionals out there right now here in 2021 have never worked in a buyer's market. They've been working in a seller's market,
right.
but have
That's so
never
true.
faced a buyer's market. And you think it's so aggravating to deal with the seller's market. Yes, that's aggravating, but I can tell you, I can promise you, buyer's markets, it ain't any easier.
Mm-hmm.
When you sling to the other side where every day there's new homes coming on the market, and you wrote an offer last night that you thought, okay, this will be a great one. They call you up and say, I don't want to buy it because there's a crack in the driveway because really the underlying reason is they're afraid they might lose another opportunity. That fear of loss works both ways, going up or going down. That's, I think
true.
it was worse personally. I don't know. I don't know if it's worse or not, but it's a whole other dynamic that a lot of people have never faced and they don't know how.
Yeah.
Well, I think to be good at any field, you should be practicing. You should be training for all of it. There's a saying about being prepared. You just need to be. I don't know do you know the quote I'm talking about? Something about being prepared, but
Carey Ann, I do believe there will be a shift. In all sincerity, those listening, I would encourage people to be mindful that this can't continue. It reminds me of back in, again, most people haven't been around the business this long, but back in before the Great Depression, back in 2007, okay. Back at that time, there were areas where you could start the construction of a house. I remember this happening in Florida, where I came from, in Titusville, Florida, that you could start the construction of a house. 5 months later, 6 months later, when it was done, you could literally make $100,000 off of it.
Wow.
Now, and as a society or professionals in the business, we acted like that was going to be around forever.
That's not sustainable.
No, it's not. And so that's my point is we've got to be looking around here that what's happening. That's why I was talking about that one that should have sold for $600, sold for $850 because of the location. We got to think about these things as far as that's not sustainable. So I think what you said earlier about selling and sitting in I'm not saying you sit in a van or whatever on the side of the river,
by the river,
waiting for the market to change.
Not happening.
But I am saying, I got to believe we got to be close to being maxed out right now. I would sell and maybe rent for a little bit and anyway.
Well, if you're a realtor now, what should you be preparing for?
Well, look,
That's the
here's
mindset.
my quote. I wanted to find it. By
complete-
failing to prepare, you were preparing to fail. I knew there was a fancy quote
you
there.
go. The
There you
fancy
go.
quote.
There it is. They find that. But you're right. We have to prepare for that. Now, here's the deal. So stuff's going to be thrown at us. There's a shift. My bar is still up here. I still have to be ready to rock and roll and still be helping as many families, right? And so we talked about words of pivot and modify the plan, et cetera. We already have to be thinking 2 steps that possibly this could happen. What if you've been able to gain a lot of momentum because interest rates are low? What if they go up? What's your plan then? Right?
Well, I think it's, we had a class, we had a podcast recently with our safety guy, and it's like that. in this business as well,
Right.
of being aware.
Sure.
Okay, just being mindful of what can happen. Okay, not get lulled into it's going to be like this forever, but let's be mindful that we have been, I think, dealing with maybe a false reality. Because of the pressure coming into Nashville now, and maybe, God bless it, I hope it stays. I truly do. I hope I'm wrong about there being a future dip. You know,
eventually there won't be anybody left in California, so it'll stop.
yeah. I just hope they keep their beliefs out there. Is all. I'm sorry. No offense to anybody, but please don't bring that in. Bring that here. You're welcome here. Learn how to say y'all and all y'all and these kind of things, but darn it, keep that California attitude back there, please.
Well,
I'm from California. I can say that. Okay, just for the record, I'm from Northern California. That's where I was born and raised.
There you go. We learn something new every day, don't we? Love that. Well, rising prices or lack of inventory. It's been an interesting discussion.
I go with lack of inventory.
You're going to go lack of inventory.
Yeah.
I'm
What are you
thinking
going
too.
for? Lack of
I'm not
inventory.
moving unless I've got something as or nicer. I'm not moving into a trailer.
A van
I'm
by the
not
river?
going to go rent. I'm not going to do that, right?
They're
So
really
you're right.
nice. I mean, you know.
And what I was saying too is
I've got an Airbnb.
Yeah, there you go. There you
I'm
go.
moving in the backyard.
But you limited a month, don't you?
You can always come camping with us and try it out if you want. So.
I grew up camping. I lived in a camper for 4 months. My parents had us, all 4 of us, in a pop-up.
It wasn't so bad, right?
And it rained the entire time. It was great.
All
Wow.
4 months.
Yeah, but I can do all of it. I'm totally all about it, but I won't do that. I make choices now.
Before we
I don't
move
say
on,
yes to everything anymore, right? There's my new plan for 2021.
in prepping for the eventual
shift.
downturn, the shift. Yeah,
Sure.
I do think it's important that we talk a little bit about preparing the agents preparing for investments. I mean, because part of the benefit of being a real estate agent,
Yeah.
you should have the kind of the pick, if you will,
I
be
agree.
able to get the better opportunities. And
of the
so
litter.
right now, while the getting is good, start saving some of that and being prepared for when the market goes down. You can capitalize on it and jump on some of these properties and just take that opportunity to increase your real estate portfolio.
Smart move for sure. Saving a little. You talked to the first of the year about budgeting,
Yeah.
putting money in different categories, and that is so key.
For somebody starting out, just position yourself so that the house you're living in now can become your rental home, so that you move to the next one. And just that's one way to really develop great wealth. I think that's what I did to start my portfolio. I had 10 homes at one time, and I would just live in one for a while and rent it out after 2 years and do another one rather than sell it. Get into another FHA
Very
loan,
smart,
basically.
yeah.
Not going to do that either. But,
Mines
but
are really expensive.
people do
right?
that. Yeah, people do that. The person that
Well, I'm
we
saying
bought our house
somebody
for-
starting out. I'm not talking about a Carey Ann who is the
No, I'm just
conqueror
saying
of the world.
No, I'm just saying. But everybody do you for you.
Yeah.
I don't think even if I was back I don't think I would want to do that because I don't think that's just something that I'm interested in doing.
You've got to be able to have the long
I don't
play.
have time
okay?
to move.
You've got to think
mentally
the long
the
play.
time. It's a hard thing. And if you
It is.
haven't moved, you should move. All of us should move and purchase or go through that process
Yeah.
every so often, just
I
so
agree
we can
totally.
remind
Yeah. So you're
ourselves
so much more empathetic then.
what everybody's going through. But this is going to be an exciting year for sure. What we learned last year. What did we learn last year? We learned last year anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
You gotta be
Don't-
ready for anything,
Don't
right?
don't take smooth waters for granted.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared.
What size face mask do you wear? I'm just kidding.
We're not talking about that. But when it comes to some people did not have their best year ever last year.
Right.
Some
You
people
Yeah,
did,
you-
but
what did you talk? What was the final tally for you, Carey Ann?
for
Families helped.
families
don't pretend
served,
like you don't know.
yeah, it was over 1,000. It was
Holy
1,048.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
$274.9 million. Yeah, it was a great year.
amazing.
But there's some people though that I chose to go a different direction, right? I chose to go full force. Others stepped back. So I would say that you don't have to change your goal because of the decisions of others. I had a lot of people make some major changes in their life that could have affected me, and I still had my ultimate goal that I wanted to.
Yeah, you had
hit.
some struggles with.
I had a lot of struggles last year. Yeah, I mean, major struggles, and I could have easily dropped the mic, thrown the mic for that matter.
Hit somebody with the mic.
I was gonna toss the mic.
Just throw it at
Somebody, we're proud of you, Carey.
Yeah.
You're so awesome to be affiliated with you. You know, we had a great year as well. We had our best year.
Yeah.
We had over 450 million production. You know, and with a 2-year-old company going from 17 agents to 170. I mean, we're just so proud. So grateful.
Exciting. We had the privilege of working with so many of your deserving clients, and it just was a great year. But it was a great year because you saw that you weren't going to
making the
pause.
decision.
You were making decisions whether this person decides to want to work with you or not. The Hal Elrod, way of doing it. You bitched for 5 minutes and you kept going.
Shake it off.
You just have to keep going. I had a lady call me today, and she got a terrible text message of a hater. I was like, haters are gonna hate it. Get the Taylor Swift song going on. Things are gonna happen, and if that's happening, that means you're doing something right? And so the more we can mentally prepare ourselves to have an outstanding year, because we were trained last year, we prepared ourselves for 2021 because
hopefully
what
build
we
some
made
muscles,
through,
some determination muscles, because that's
year.
what our business, both of our businesses, require. Is you've got to be determined. If this was easy, there wouldn't be an 87% fallout every 2 years.
For sure.
If this was easy, it's not. Be okay with that. Now let's move forward.
Yeah.
Take the next step forward. Stay focused. It doesn't matter what gets in our way. There's still people having babies, needing to sell, needing to upgrade, getting divorced, whatever. There's still all that action happening. And we've got to know, regardless of COVIDs, regardless of election years, regardless of all these things we've walked through this past year, that's still going on. Right now, somebody's sitting at their kitchen table talking
about real estate, yes.
Martha, I don't like you anymore. I'm getting a divorce. Or Henry, let's have a baby. Or, whatever. I mean, let's move in with the kids. Or let's have the parents move in with us, like Connie and I did for a while. That's happening at the kitchen table right now. Mm-hmm. So what happens then? They need a mortgage. And then they're going to buy a house,
You're
That's
right.
what happens.
And if for some reason, if your little circle that you so-called selling right now, that's really profitable and booming, changes, there's so many other circles. Like, we need to open our eyes. And that's what I talk with loan officers. Well, my real estate agents aren't selling, so my business is low, right? I hear this a lot. You need to be diversified.
Then find some new agents,
diversified though. There's so much. Like, when I was struggling with trying to get business in Williamson County, because I live in Williamson County, I was like, okay, I'll live here, but I drove an hour north, an hour south, an hour east, an hour west, and got the business that way, right? So understand there's a lot of business within Middle Tennessee, and we're really blessed to be a city that so many people want to live at, So
Right.
a lot of
That's very
opportunity.
true.
Keep our eyes open. Creating new business every day.
Amen.
So awesome
Amen.
stuff. Thank you
Great
all for
seeing you guys
joining
today.
us
Same
today.
here.
We can't wait for you to come back.
Jason, thanks for joining us.
Always good
Always
to see
Appreciate you, man.
You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.